This week on 50 States, 50 Dishes, we're going to be making bison chili using a recipe from the Northern Plain tribes of Montana. It's the simplest recipe I've made thus far, actually only having 8 ingredients. But you are going to need to get yourself some lean bison meat, preferably ground. You're going to need about a pound of it. So do a little research around your local markets and see what you can find. After you've got that, let's move on and make ourselves some chili.
These are those 8 simple ingredients you're going to need to make yourself some bison chili, the most important being lean ground bison from your local market and a few select spices. First step is to brown the bison in a pan. No oil is necessary here as you're just going to brown the bison straight out. So break it up into manageable pieces and go ahead and begin adding it to your pan. Once you've got a good amount, but maybe not the entire pound, go ahead and get that heat turned up and begin to move around those first few pieces. See how quickly they brown up? See that first one flip over? They cook very quickly. As they cook, continue to get the rest of the pound added, and then go ahead and add in your diced onion. Once you've got the onion added, you're going to cook the entire concoction together for around 8 minutes, continuing to move it around the pan with your spoon so that no individual elements of it burn. I decided to add myself a little extra spice at this moment. I went and grabbed some red pepper and sprinkled it just on top of the bison meat just to give it a little bit of a kick. I'm a fan of red pepper, but the recipe does not ask for it, so that's pure personal preference. Once your bison and your onions are good and cooking, it's time to combine the rest of your ingredients to make the body of your chili. I started with one 28-ounce can of tomatoes. I could not find the requested 2 16-ounce cans of tomatoes, and I figured this is close to the right ounceage, so go ahead and dump that in there. I chose red kidney beans as the beans for this. You're going to want to pop those open and drain them out. You want mostly the beans to be added into the chili, not really the excess bean juice. Time to move on to your seasonings. Just a few here. We're going to have a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of black ground pepper, and actually 2 whole teaspoons of chili powder, which is going to give yourself a nice flavor to it. Again, I'm a big fan of red ground cayenne pepper, and so I actually added in a half a teaspoon to the body of the chili as well. Get that all mixed together and bring in your meat and your onions into the pot with the rest of the body of your chili. You're going to bring all that to a boil and then lower the heat down to a simmer while keeping it covered for an hour or so, and that'll give you some bison chili.
So, after you've let it simmer for about an hour, after mixing all of your ingredients again in, you should have yourself some bison chili. Now I've gone ahead and put a little bit of cheese on mine because that's just how I eat chili. And as you'll notice, probably actually the simplest recipe that we've made thus far, with essentially only about 8 ingredients. So let's give this a shot. It's still very hot. And honestly, it doesn't have a remarkable amount of flavor. You're going to actually come across a lot of tomato flavor in there. But it is hearty, and it will be filling. So let's head on back into the room and talk about what we're going to do next week. That was bison chili from the Big Sky state of Montana in the Great Plains region. Next week we return to New England, to the Green Mountain state of Vermont, to make our second dessert in our series. I'm excited because I love pie, so tune in next week to find out what kind on 50 States, 50 Dishes.